Hey guys, it's GHP and welcome to another spoiler review video. So, we don't know the set name for set 4 yet. We haven't been getting constant spoilers, so I have a lot of things that I'm like, the fuck? But either way, we have, I think, 4 cards to look at plus 3 that we don't actually have yet, but we know we're getting. That I just want to talk about briefly today. Won't be a long spoiler video, we don't even know the set name, so it's Orange Report something. But we don't know anything beyond that, just from something Scarlet said. So first what we're going to look at is Harmless Question. So it's 0 mana, Justice, stun an enemy unit spell. So this card is not playable. The one situation that makes this card playable is if we get something like a Storm deck that cares about casting 0 mana spells. Besides that, this card is so bad, it's just not worth a card. It's worse than Daze in Draft. Because Daze being a fast spell is a really big deal sometimes. So I don't think this card's going to see any play unless there's like a Storm deck. I don't think in Constructed you're ever going to spend a card to stun a unit. Sure, you could be like, well, I can play Fencing Master on turn 3 and then play Harmless Question and now I have a 3 mana 5/5. Yeah, you can. Or you can play, like, you don't want to play 2 weak cards to create a card that you could almost create anyways by playing Auric and Terror? No. The 3 mana 4/4 dude. Like, that's already good enough, and that card doesn't see much play. I don't think you just go for something like that. Besides that, there's not a lot of synergy. I'm sure you could go, well, I could play Icebreaker, and then it's, you could play Icebreaker and Harmless Question to kill a unit. Cool. But then same story, you're playing weak cards. I don't think this card's going to see any play except for, let's say, a Storm deck existing, but I don't expect that to happen. But unless 0 mana means something, this card is not going anywhere. Another card that is kind of meh, but Mind Fire, which is a more interesting card. So it's 1 mana fire, exhaust 2 enemy units. So first of all, I want to see this card in foil. It's probably ridiculously pretty. Second of all, exhaust 2 enemy units for a card is definitely not going to be good enough for Constructed. There was a time where Cloudavash saw play, but that's from board stalls. Like, this is no Crystallize or Cloudavash. I get the idea that, well, I could push through 2 units through. We play Cinder Yeti, but Cinder Yeti comes with a body when you draw it, and Cinder Yeti also has Warp. So I don't really think that's a good comparison right now. I overall don't think this is going to see any Constructed play, because the aggro decks already have tools to break board stalls that don't see play, like Cloudavash. So even though this costs 1, I don't think it's going to do enough. It also doesn't get through things like Sandstorm Titan and Kothon, which cause fire aggro decks issues. In Draft, this card might see a little play. Purely because if you have a really aggressive fire deck, one thing that comes up a lot is you get your opponent to like 7 or 8, and then they put some 1/5s in front of you or something, and you lose because you can't get through. This can fix that. So maybe in a very aggressive fire-based deck in Draft, you could play this card, but for Constructed, I don't see this card really making any splashes. I do think it's better than Harmless, though. Purely because affecting 2 units. Another card we got, I think these are all kind of draft cards, to be honest with you. Miner's Cannery. It's a really interesting card. It's a 2 mana 0/4. So in this game, walls historically, or cards like it, like Scaligruon, have never really saw play. And that's because we're about playing efficient cards, and a lot of our cards that are good also generate its value, like Auric Interrogator. It's already a good 3-drop, 4/3, and it also draws you cards. Like, a lot of our value cards a lot of our cards that are really aggressive have Warcry. Things like that. Things that make them better than just a wall or an aggressive unit. So I don't think Miner's Cannery is going to do a lot in Constructed. I get it. It's a big button, it flies. And if that ever became something so valuable, like, you could say, well, this answers TJP, but it doesn't. It helps beat Huru Pacifier, but that deck can assault you from so many angles that just playing a flyer doesn't do it. Especially one that doesn't actually deal damage, because you could go around it. I think this card was primarily designed for Draft, and in Draft it's probably quite fine, purely because if you look at like set 3 and stuff, there's a lot of 3-power flyers. Well, how about we just destroy them all? Because that's what I feel like this is. I feel like this is just a good answer to Flyers in draft. I think this card's fine for draft. I just don't see it making a splash in Constructed, but you never know. But I don't think this card is particularly exciting either. If you notice, I'm not particularly excited about the cards we've gotten. And then we have what I'm going to call the Feel Bad spoiler. That's too big. Crest of Order. Crest of 3 other factions. Mercado, Cambrai, Zenith. Zenith's a good one. I think we need Zenith. I think that's the best one. Or Order. We've needed these for so long, and I think the fact that they gave us 6 of these in set 3 was kind of dumb. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, you either give us half the cycle, like 5, like Magic does, or you give us all. 6 feels like such a dumb number, and it impacted the metagame. There were decks that, like if you look at Felonscar or Scream, that deck doesn't play any sigils. Because it just jabs 12 crests because it can. You look at a deck like Xenon who doesn't get any crests, so he plays these off-code crests because he needs something. Why? Give us all the crests or give us 5 of them. So we know we're getting the crests in this set, but we've known that for 6 months. This card's obviously good. They're all going to see play. I've reviewed them all here. I'm not going to go over them again where they show us the art for the rest. The crests are so impactful because they make decks more consistent, and it feels really bad to me that we had to get this as an early spoiler. I don't think it made sense to hold these back, especially in the order that they did. But overall, they're all going to be very good. They're all going to see a lot of play because they're just the best thing going. They're the best cards in set 3. They're some of the best cards in the game, really, because of consistency that they add to decks. I don't think we needed this as a spoiler, really, right now. But either way, guys, I'm going to end off the video here. I don't know when we're getting more spoilers because we didn't get any last night. Kind of weird. To be honest with you, I don't really know what DWD is doing spoiler season-wise. Like, we're not... If you're going to start spoiler season, you have to keep the train rolling, and they never kept the train rolling. Lit is the only excitement we've gotten. It's just then they've shown us draft chaff, and you don't need to spoil draft chaff. You just don't. It's not worth your time. You should spoil other things to keep people interested. So hopefully they change that soon. I really hope so, because I want to talk about spoilers that are interesting and good for Constructed, because that's what our whole channel is about. But either way, guys, I want to say thanks to everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time with hopefully some better spoilers.